Uzaki wants to hang out is pretty good. Yeah. Okay, detail. This is a bully anime. You know, when a girl in a class below a guy makes fun of him. Some examples include Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro, and teasing Master Tagagi. There's one detail about these stories that stand out about them, and that they are love stories.
I love love stories, and this one's no exception. I really like, maybe even love Uzaki Wants to Hang Out. But right now, I'm in between saying it's one of my top 10 favorites or I just really like it.
The series has some great things to it, but has some things that bring it down a tad. Only by a tad, because this show's great things stick out really well. This is a really fun, hilarious, and cute bully rom-com. This video might change my mind about whether it's one of my top 10 favorites or not. I saw this on the internet floating around and I was kinda interested in it.
Not only that, my favorite manga is a bully manga, so I kind of felt compelled to watch it.
It had some controversy behind it and I completely forgot about it until now. Now, I had no real expectations for this because I looked at the score on my anime list and saw it had an okay score to it. Also, made a little review about it on my anime list when I finished it. But yeah, I watched it and yeah, the score does say a lot about it. It isn't bad by any means, it could have some changes to it that make it better, but it has a bunch of good things to it and it doesn't make it bad. I got a different perspective when I rewatched it too. All the things I would consider bad weren't a problem for me because I was able to turn off my brain and see all the good it had to offer. Still, I have to explain why it's good because that's the whole reason why I'm making this video.
Yes, I
There's a
remember
lot of
that.
good to this
I thought you
too.
were just
Yes,
pretending he
some
was your
bad, but most of the good outweigh the bad. I will also be mentioning season 2 occasionally. It just concluded by the time I'm making this, and I'm waiting for the dub. Most of this video is going to go over why this story is so funny because this tries to be a comedy first before it's a love story. Speaking of which,
Look, it'll take 1,000 years for them to get together on their own!
Then I guess I'll have to live 1,000 years!
the one thing that keeps this anime from being terrible is the humor because the anime is hilarious. What kind of humor does this anime have? Well, it mostly goes off of the character interactions with each other, but that isn't the only reason why this anime is so funny. The voice acting is a big contributor to making this anime funny, and specifically, the dub contributes a lot.
Yes, I like watching anime dubbed. I like understanding what's going on instead of reading, then understanding what's going on.
First off, what makes the character interactions mixed with the voice acting in this anime so funny? Most of it has to do with the way the characters interact with Uzaki and Sakurai. Each character interacts to and with them differently, so no interaction feels samey nor too dragged out. They also have Uzaki and Sakurai going on different adventures, just doing different things, such as going to the beach, which happens in every anime, going to a cat cafe, or them going to a love shrine they didn't even know it. Every place they go to has some pretty funny moments as well. Some of the best moments happen around them traveling somewhere or doing an activity. Yeah, as the story progresses, all the traveling and activities they do start to slow down and it starts to focus more on Uzaki and Sakurai's romantic feelings for each other. Thing is, it's still pretty funny when that stuff starts to slow down. The voice acting also elevates it up 10 times as much. While the character interactions between the characters are funny, the voice acting makes it way funnier than it should be. It's the way the actors deliver their lines that make it so funny. Here's an example I like to point to.
But most of all, that boy is fine.
First, let's start with Ami and the boss because they are some of the funniest side characters I've ever seen in an anime.
Them is that they like Uzuki's and Sakurai's interactions so much that they will just sit there and watch. They have a whole thing where they eat rice while watching them or hearing one of them talk about their relationship because they are literally eating it up. The voice actors also make it even funnier than it should be. The one that takes the cake is definitely Ami's voice actor, Jade Saxton. Not only is she great at playing her character, but the way she delivers her lines is just so good.
You will compliment her within an inch of her life, and the more nauseating the better. That crap's a guaranteed mood booster. She's easy like that.
She's a horny, over-the-top chick, and Jade Saxton does a great job at showing this with her vocal performance. This is one of my favorite roles she's done, most because the only other role that I've heard her in, aside from this, is My Hero, where she played as Kendo, and Maid-sama, where she played as Suzuna. The boss, who's voiced acted by Kent Williams, is hilarious too. Kent Williams does a great job at bringing this character to life. This character is funny as hell, most because it's what he tries to do to get what he wants out of their relationship that makes it hilarious. He tries to act encouraging and tries to insinuate that what he's suggesting is for a different reason. Really, he's trying to get more interactions out of Uzaki and Sakurai. Kent Williams has had funnier roles like Incinerator Clayton in Borderlands 2, and his best role to me is as Mr. Compress in MHA. But what he does here is still good. Both these characters try to go about Uzaki and Sakurai's relationship by letting it grow naturally.
The way they describe it is letting coffee brew slowly, which makes sense. There's no coffee in here. Okay, I'm gonna go make me a cup of coffee. I'll be right back. Got my nice cup of coffee. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, we were talking about the cat from Uzaki Wants to Hang Out. The cat serves no purpose in the story whatsoever. It's just there to react to Uzaki and Sakurai's relationship, and I don't know why it's in the story, but I just don't understand it. What the fuck is the cat for? It's just there making this weird face. I don't understand what it's for. It doesn't serve any plot purposes. It's just there to make a face and react to shit. It's just there. What is it? It's just there. I don't know how to feel about the cat. Coffee is so good. One more sip. Tasty.
But there is one that likes to light the fire underneath it so that the coffee is as hot as it can be. His name is Sakaki, and he is as okay characters can go. He doesn't really have a lot of funny moments, but when he gets one, it's hilarious. One of my favorite jokes was when he sensed something was happening between Uzaki and Sakurai. He was on a boat and was willing to jump off the boat to go see what was happening between them. It was hysterical. His voice actor, man, I really should have looked up how to pronounce his name before the recording started. No, I'm gonna do that. Okay. Nazi Tarsha is kinda okay. He doesn't do anything special in his performance, but he does have some genuine funny moments.
I've gone through this whole segment without talking about the main characters. Wow. Okay, let's talk about them.
Uzaki and Sakura are such fun characters to watch interact. I really like watching them be together just doing things, whether it be them just hanging out or doing an activity. Their interactions are just them bantering with each other and others misunderstanding their relationship. So you'll see a lot of people saying they are a couple, them just arguing with each other, or them having some misunderstandings themselves. What the creator does with this in humor is he'll have the characters in a very tame situation, then have the situation become very weird. A lot of the moments like this are really funny. Like when Uzaki hypnotized Sakurai to have him say her first name. Everyone else around them thinks it's just couples being couples. Then at the end, Uzaki tries to take advantage of him by having him buy some snacks, which after a really funny part happens.
Hey, that's no fair pretending to be hypnotized!
Says the girl taking advantage of the hypnotized.
I don't know why. That always gets a chuckle out of me every time.
One of my favorite parts of the story is when they were at Tottori and it was a love shrine site, and they say they looked completely different in their actions compared to what they were actually doing. It was fucking hilarious.
Darling, am I too heavy?
Don't be silly. You're lighter than a Totally Dune beetle, honey bunch.
Thankfully, somehow, I still have some strength left.
Mementos of my Tottori trip with you!
I'll take everything you have. Whatever my cutie patootie wants, she gets.
Oh, these are adorable! Sakurai, wanna buy me something as a souvenir?
Seriously? You're getting 4?
They look like 4 sisters, so I don't want to separate them. Oh, come on! Different versions! Double or nothing!
Okay, I vote nothing.
Oh, darling, you know rabbit cakes taste best ears first.
I've always been a tail first kind of guy myself.
Those.
Ah! He's gonna gobble me up! Ah! Curse you humans to hell! No!
Listen, I can't eat like this! Would you shut up?
The voice acting for these two characters are really, really good. Before we talk about a person that feels like they play in almost every anime, let's talk about Riko Fajardo, because he is such a good voice actor. The only other role I've heard him in was as Togata in MHA. His voice acting here is better than his Togata role. No joke. He plays Sakurai's soft-spoken lax when he wants to be self really well. When Sakurai gets loud, he can drop the soft-spoken to yelling angrily really well. He's able to deliver his lines really well and makes a ton of funny moments within the story. I think the one thing you shouldn't have done was get David Montraga to voice this character for episode 1. I don't know why, but they got him to voice act as Sakurai in the first episode for some reason. He sticks out like a sore thumb because his voice isn't meant for Sakurai. His voice is so soft spoken that when he does scream, it feels jarring instead of natural. Nothing against him as a voice actor, because he's played the hell out of some characters, like Todoroki in MHA and Usui in Maid-sama. He plays these characters really well, but he definitely shouldn't be voicing Sakurai. Now, time for a person that voice acts in every single anime you know and love. If you've watched anime and some of it dubbed, then you've most likely had Monica Rial as a voice actor within some. Here's some that I can think of at the top of my head, which is Sue from MHA, Misaki from Maid-sama, Tanya from Saga of Tanya the Evil, Bulma from Dragon Ball, and a TD or gun called the Morning Star in Borderlands 2.
If you were a better shot, you wouldn't need to reload!
She does a very good job as Uzaki, who's kinda airheaded and childish with the way she acts sometimes. She does a good job. Nothing really stands out nor makes you think, wow, this is her best role.
She just does good in this. She's a good voice actress. She does good.
Well, I'm done talking about the funny within this. I don't really want to go over any other characters like the Uzaki family. I just wanted to talk about the main 5 because they all bounce off each other really well, not just Uzaki and Sakurai. Now I want to go into more detail about the main duo, couple, lovebirds, whatever.
Damn it, Tottori, give me a break! Tottori!
Now, I did just go over what makes the main duo, couple, lovebirds, and whatever so funny. Now, is their relationship actually good and believable? Well, yes and no. The relationship is fun to watch, but not for the reasons you think. How they pace Uzaki's and Sakurai's relationship is so weird. The first episode establishes the relationship pretty well. It's full of misunderstandings and they banter with each other a lot. As it progresses is where it gets kind of odd. Most of their relationship happens off screen for some reason. Here's what I mean. You know some of the moments you get in love stories where it either strengthens or shows how strong their relationship is? Well, imagine you don't have a lot of the moments that strengthen the relationship. Mostly the parts that show how strong it is, and you have Uzaki wants to hang out. It's not that the relationship doesn't strengthen, there's plenty of moments that do, like when they go camping and Sakurai uses Uzaki as a pillow, the fireworks scene where Sakurai cheers up Uzaki, and when they spend a day together just hanging out. There are these moments, but it's more so you don't get a lot of that. Like Ami said,
Cool. Did you like?
They must be close if they borrow each other's stuff.
Because, yeah, they really are.
luckily the story doesn't take itself too seriously. I can suspend my disbelief and watch it without it bothering me. It's also one of those stories where the girl makes more moves than the guy, and the guy doesn't really seem to make that many moves. It's so frustrating because the story shows that Sakurai really isn't interested in Uzaki romantically, nor dating at all. With all the things that Sakurai has done for Uzaki in season 1, you'd expect some feelings would form. He starts to work out more, you can see it's helping him mentally, but we never really see him think about Uzaki with that. Even when it does happen, it's still very little of it. We don't get enough. It focuses more on Uzaki falling for him, but she makes it seem like he's falling for her to her. Especially during season 2, because season 2 focuses more on Uzaki than it does Sakurai compared to the other season. It doesn't feel like a drastic change in character focus, but it's noticeable. I don't necessarily like the change in focus in season 2. Yeah, it's cool we get to see how Uzaki is feeling about everything around her. The only downside is we don't get Sakurai's perspective all that much anymore. Sakurai is a good main character and is pretty well written for the most part. One of the things about season 2 is that we got to see how he was thinking about a lot of the situations he was in. We don't really get that with Uzaki. Like I said, the only thing that makes these two's relationship really fun to watch is the way the side characters react to it. Yes, what Uzaki and Sakurai do and how they interact is really enjoyable and fun. The side characters put it on a whole nother level. So the downsides of their relationship isn't a bother because of all the upsides to it.
This series also had a bunch of controversy behind it, and what it was about was so very odd. Like, number one, people don't like Uzaki for some reason, and I don't understand it.
What she's doing isn't malicious at all, yet people want to construe her actions towards Sakurai as a bad thing. People don't like her making fun of the main character, Sakurai, and basically adding spice to what is a very dull college life. While yes, he is perfectly content with how he spends his time by himself, and mainly by himself, it's not a bad thing to mix it up a bit. That's what Uzaki does, to mix up what is basically a loner lifestyle. She makes fun of him for it. He treats her and acts like he hates being around her when really he doesn't mind being around her. Even when she makes fun of him or insults him, he doesn't take offense to it. He's able to one up her too, or just not care about what she has to say. So people are blatantly ignoring what the relationship is like, all because they don't like the character. I just don't see why people don't like Uzaki, especially with the context of how it's written within the story.
Number two, people don't like the way Uzaki looks, and it's really stupid.
Another thing that doesn't make too much sense is hating on the way Uzaki looks. Now, you're entitled to your opinion in many ways. I'm letting out my opinion in this video, but I don't understand why people don't like the way Uzaki looks. I bet the people that like the way Uzaki looks likes the way the muscles look in Dragon Ball Z. They like to say it's unrealistic, but you're not watching fiction for realism, right? If you are, then most anime just aren't for you. Even out of all the slice of life anime, none of them are realistic. One final thing I want to point out, this has nothing to do with the characters, is in episode 10, I Want to Hang Out in Tottori. As it's ending, the two characters see a museum they want to go into. Something walks behind them and they look at it. The episode just ends there. And do you think the next episode's going to continue where it left off? Nope, it moves on to something completely different. I just thought this was kind of weird because what was the thing walking behind them and why did it just end abruptly like that? It kind of odd.
Come on, hurry up! Stop lagging!
It's not a race. To me, at least.
Well, you better make it snappy or you're gonna lose, mister.
You are a tyrant.
This story was just a whole bunch of fun to watch, and I was surprised by how funny it was. I was kinda expecting a very generic love story that would play out the way you would expect it, and a bit of teasing because it's a bully anime after all. That's kinda what it does, but really doesn't do it either, because of how much the side characters influence a bunch of their time together. Honestly, I was really surprised at how funny this was because this was the one thing I wasn't expecting. Yes, most of the reason why that is was the dub being well directed and the voice actors being really good. The fact that they're college students doesn't really affect the plot all that much until Uzaki realizes that Sakurai is about to graduate and has to make a move soon. That doesn't matter anyways. I really liked all the characters, mostly the side ones, but they were all fun enough to watch. I would say that this is the only love story that I like even when it doesn't develop their love story too well. I'm looking at you, My Hero Academia! This series was just a great watch and I would recommend it to anyone. Fun, hilarious, and all around enjoyable watch. I think this video might have changed my mind about this series. It's definitely a top 10 favorite for me. It made me laugh, it got me invested, and it made me like these characters. So yeah, I guess I love it.
Fuck. Shit. Damn it. Fuck. You stupid ass phone. I hate you. You're so mean to me.